what can we learn from strange visions? My name is Amy, and here at the Lakes, we're reading a chapter a day. Today, for our reading, we're on Revelation chapter 14, and I encourage you to read that. For this reflection, we're actually taking a look at Daniel chapter 10. If you're really interested in Revelation chapter 14, you can check out the previous Good News reflection that covered an overview of chapter 12 through 14. So let's take a look at Daniel chapter 10. It says, this is a vision given to Daniel. And it says, on the 24th day of the first month, I was standing on the bank of the great river Tigris. I looked up, and there before me was a man dressed in linen, with a belt of finest gold around his waist. His body was like that of chrysolite. His face was lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the sound of a multitude. I, Daniel, was the only one who saw the vision. The men with me did not see it, but such terror overwhelmed them that they fled and hid themselves. So I was left alone, gazing at this great vision. I had no strength left. My face turned deathly pale, and I was helpless. Then I heard him speaking, and as I listened to him, I fell into a deep sleep, my face to the ground. A hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. He said, Daniel, you who are highly esteemed, consider carefully the words I am about to speak to you, and stand up, for I have now been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up, trembling. So what can we learn from visions and other apocalyptic literature throughout the Bible? Well, we can learn some pretty cool stuff. And the first is this: God's glory is pretty awesome. This man, this person, this being that appeared to Daniel was amazing. His appearance, the colors, the brilliancy was awesome. His voice sounded like a multitude. All of these things that Daniel used to explain how awesome he was. And he had a pretty awesome effect as well. Those who were with Daniel felt terror. They went fleeing and they hid themselves. And Daniel himself was weak, pale, and he even fainted. This is amazing. And considering that this may only be a messenger from God, imagine what standing in God's presence is like. Another thing that we can learn is that God is at work in the world, and in partnership with us, he's carrying out his will and his purpose. This messenger appears to Daniel in order to let him know what God is doing in the world. And that is really cool because he wants Daniel's partnership and he wants our partnership. So that's what apocalyptic literature is often about. How God is going to do something great in the world and how we can participate in it. Also, writers of apocalyptic literature often use symbols and images that would be familiar to their readers. And they also borrowed those images and symbols from other apocalyptic writers as well. So we see here in Daniel 10 some descriptions that are also used in Ezekiel chapter 1. And also we see Daniel's images that he uses to describe things used in the book of Revelation. Now, that doesn't diminish the supernatural message that Daniel has here or the importance of this experience. It simply reminds us that these were messages written to real people in language that they would connect with and understand. They knew what burnished bronze looked like. They knew what a multitude sounded like. They understood what chrysolite looked like, and lightning was amazing. So when the apocalyptic writers used that language, their audience would have been familiar with it and understand it and connect with it. Another thing that we can understand and learn from things like visions and other apocalyptic literature is the use of symbols. So apocalyptic literature is full of symbols. But it's also important to remember that not every symbol has a specific meaning tied to it. Not every symbol is meant to be understood as something else. Like a belt of gold could literally just mean that he had a shiny belt on. It doesn't have to represent or mean something else. So I encourage you, pick up some apocalyptic literature, read through the book of Revelation, and familiarize yourself with something different. God is at work in the world, and he's asking us to join with him.